Okay, we're live, I believe. Cool. So I've changed some of the stream settings, so now it's normal latency. So hopefully the crashing and the disconnects stop happening, but we'll just have a slower chatting delay, which is totally fine. So today we got brew number 2. We're still doing the Onibus original blend. And yeah, yesterday's cup wasn't that great. It was a bit too over extracted, and it's because I also used a grind size that was more meant for a lighter roast, which meant that I ground it a bit finer than normal. But this time around I've changed my grind setting, and I've changed it quite a bit because it was pretty over extracted, the cup that I had yesterday. So let's begin. Measure out 15 grams of coffee. Like so. And we will then grind it. So yet again, I changed it to 35. It's all ready to go. Here we got that. Smells delish. And now I'll move it down to the brew cam. Like so. So we'll get our water. And we got our Hario V60. And just like yesterday, we'll be using a fabric filter, like so. We'll plop that in there. We'll get a cup to brew in. Like so. And the first thing we do is, of course, preheat. Like so. I think I really love fabric filters. The only downside is like the hassle of cleaning them up after usage, but the cup that fabric filters create is just extremely delicious, and it has just a body that you can't compare and get in paper filters. So if you never have tried a fabric filter, then I highly recommend giving that a whirl. Okay. So now that it's preheated, we toss our coffee in. Give that a shake. 15 grams of coffee. I'll make a small hole in the center, like so. And I need to pour 255 grams of water of 92 degrees Celsius. So I actually need to let it cool down a bit. To speed up that process, I'm just gonna add a dash of water. And just like so, we are at, I don't know if you can see that, 92 degrees Celsius. So let's begin. Start our timer. Pour 50 grams of water, like so. Nice and bubbly. And then we stir it. Make sure to saturate all the grinds. You don't want any pockets of dry grounds in here. And then what we do is pour one continuous pour all the way up to 255 grams of water. Since I'm using the small Hario V60, I might not be able to do it in one continuous pour, so I'll divide it into 2 pours. So I'm just missing 50 grams here. Keep pouring. And there we go, 255 grams of water. Now I just do the rouse spin, so I just hold it and I give the mass of water just a mini swirl to bring the grinds down from the side, which will also level the bed once we see the... Yeah, that's pretty much it. No magic, just a continuous pour, grind the right size, use the right amount of coffee, and wait. If you peeps have any questions, just let me know in the chat. I'm always down to court any coffee questions that you have that are lingering in your mind. Or if you have any bread questions, I'm pretty decent at baking and sourdough and stuff, so yeah. Versatility. So just by looking at this brew over here, it's draining way quicker than the last one. Meaning last time it drained and it finished at around 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And this time around it's nearly fully drained at 3 minutes, which is great. So I can tell that the coarser grind size not only brought the time to a more reasonable period or time frame, it also just will probably be better for its extraction because the extra time also adds more extraction. So by changing the grind size, not only is the grind size impacting extraction, its time is also impacting extraction. So it's kind of like doubling down on the under or over extractedness by decreasing it. So I don't know if that made sense, but okay, let me try to explain it again. So what I'm saying is that since I made the grinds coarser, not only does the coarseness counteract the over extractedness, the less time that the water is spent in the Hario V60 also counteracts over extractedness, because that contact time between water and coffee is more extraction. So this brew ended at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, which is 30 seconds less than the last brew, meaning it's 30 seconds less that it was not being extracted. So let me write that down over here. It took 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Like so. And looking at the bed, it's nice and flat. So nice and flat, not a lot of grinds up at all. So you're just looking for a flat bed, which means a even extraction, and also not a lot of grinds that are up top around the filter over here. Now we give this coffee a stir, and we wait a bit because this coffee is pretty hot right now. So I'm actually going to a wedding later today, so I got these fancy pants going on, but I haven't put on the white shirt yet because who knows, maybe I'll just spill coffee all over myself throughout this live stream and mess up that part. But yeah, it's been a while since I've gone to a social gathering of this size since post-pandemic, but like we're still in it, but the restrictions are a bit more calm. But I'm pretty excited to be in a group of like 40 people. It's been a while. So here we go, the coffee. Let's give it a taste. So comparing this one to yesterday's brew, I can already tell that my tongue feels way less raspy and bitter and like thirst heavy, because when I sip this one I feel a lot of clarity where it just silks into my mouth and coats it nicely without creating those harsh tones of bitterness that I experienced yesterday with the other cup. And it's pretty pleasant. Like, when I say pleasant, I mean that there aren't any intense flavors that are popping up that are saying, hey, check out this, this is what I am. It's just a traditional cup of coffee that is very smooth and doesn't really have any negatives to it, which is usually what people aim for with a blend, because they just want to create a consistent coffee, and I think that they have achieved this pretty well over here. I feel like it can still be improved though, so I have one more cup tomorrow that I can play around with, but this cup so far has been the best one and it's pretty decent, but I think I can try to get more of a body for this. So right now it's very silky and smooth and light and delicate, but I think that we can like intensify that mouthfeel just a bit by lowering the brewing ratio. So what's happening right now is that we're using a 1:17 brewing ratio that was recommended in this brew guide over here by Onibus. But it's a generic brewing guide, meaning it's given with all of their coffees. And I think that this slightly darker roast over here will benefit from a slightly lower brewing ratio than the higher brewing ratios, because the higher brewing ratios really highlights the clarity in coffee, while a lower brewing ratio really highlights the mouthfeel of a coffee. So what we're going to do tomorrow is lower the brewing ratio. But lower it by how much, I am not sure yet. So let's take a sip and figure that out. I think that we can go slightly lower. So here, let me just check something over here. Yeah, I think that we can go like 2 notches lower. So instead of a 1:17 ratio, we'll aim for a 1:15 ratio. And to compensate for that, we need to change some variables around. because whenever you change the brewing ratio, it means that you're using less water per coffee gram. And that means that your brew, if this is balanced, which it is, will become under extracted because you're not using the same amount of water. So just going to this over here, I thought that today's extraction was pretty balanced. Taste was pretty decent. I think we could improve it, but using the same specs over here, I think that we can tweak things around and maybe change the temperature. So here, I'll show you this in a short moment. 1 to 15. Okay. Oh, we got a question. How often have you bought from Onibus? Does the roast and brew style differ from what you normally get in North America? So, I've gotten Onibus beans twice. This is one of them, and another time I got them with the Kurasu coffee subscription. And I thought that their beans were pretty great for a darker roast taste palette. So if you really enjoy darker roasts, they have some really solid ones. And the style, yeah, they just roast a bit darker than what you would expect in North America. And I think that it might really show when we go into the Ethiopian, because right now we're brewing with the Onibus blend, but we'll also eventually go through the Guatemalan and the Ethiopian that they have over here. And my guess is that their Ethiopian might be, I don't know, slightly darker than what we would expect from a Ethiopian. So I'm kind of excited to open this guy up. I'll leave that to the end. But from my experience, whenever I get beans from a Japanese roastery that I've gotten a couple of times with the coffee subscription Kurasu, it has been slightly on the darker side. So yeah, just adapting to a darker roast and you'll be good. So looking over here, tomorrow we're gonna try to get a slightly better mouthfeel. So we're gonna decrease the brewing ratio from 1 to 17 to 1 to 15. The coffee amount will stay the same. The water amount will decrease to 225. And to compensate for this change in extraction over here, we're going to use boiling water instead. Our grind size will be the same. I thought that the grind size was pretty solid over here and the bed looked great. And yeah. Overall, I think that this cup would be pleasing to most people, but I really want to squeeze the most out of the beans that I can, and each of these pouches are 50 grams of coffee, so it's not really that much to play around with. I get 3 brews in total to test out and see what's up, but it really gives me a fun thing to just play around with to see how I can maximize those 3 brews and really push it to its limit. And I think that by exploring right now with a lower brewing ratio with this blend will be the best course of action for tomorrow. Yeah, pretty good. And whenever I say pretty good, I think that my standards have kind of lowered a bit, because now I just appreciate a lot of different coffees, but sometimes there are these coffees that just get brewed so well, get roasted really well, and are excellent. So like my range for most coffees are like pretty good in this range, but then whenever something just really stands out or blows my mind, it just like jumps up and has so many unique characteristics and just blows my mind and taste buds in so many different ways. So pretty good is a standard rating. It's like a 3.5 out of 5 or something, but it's like drinkable. It's fun. It's enjoyable. And most people would enjoy this cup of coffee. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today's video live stream. We'll see what happens with tomorrow's live stream with the lower brewing ratio. I will see you guys later. Take care, have a good weekend. And that's it for the stream.